Birthtopia warning. That's right, today is the day of my birthing. No, you're having an existential crisis because the grains of sand are falling away. On this day, an undisclosed amount of years ago, I was birthed out of my mother under the dying embers of a Thatcher government. That's a bit of a giveaway. Now, according to law, L-O-R-E, not L-A-W, and he forgot how to spell fucking law. According to law, I gently strolled out of my mum, raised my middle finger and said, fuck the fucking Tories. And it was good. Now, it's a bit of a tradition for me on my birthday to reflect upon and thank the people that follow me. My TikTok crew, 240,000 of you are now following me. 170-odd thousand on Twitter, 28,000 on Instagram and 15,000 on YouTube. What the actual fuck, mate? And you all tune in to watch me rip the shit out of Conservatives, which is beautiful. It's a dream come true, actually, because my origin story is one that started with hating Tories at a very, very young age. Now, it all started here on TikTok with me ripping the shit out of various Tory MPs to cope with the abject horror of how the Conservative government were mishandling the pandemic and causing tens of thousands of people to die needlessly, and the sheer corruption of it. And some of that included taking the absolute piss out of certain Tory MPs like Michael Gove, old blowjob lips, you remember him? Matt Hancock, holy fuck, I mean, there was no sport in it. The guy resembles a milk tray sex pest. He simultaneously looks like a 7-year-old boy and a sex offender. He looks like a man that's just landed on Earth and doesn't know what women is. And then there's Boris fucking Johnson, isn't there? The epitome of everything that I fucking despise. You see, I grew up in a little free up, free down, mouldy council house with a prestigious private school right in front of me. I could see it out of my window. It was how they made us feel like being poor was a character defect. They wouldn't let the rich kids play with the poor kids when it came to, like, we were playing on the school field, they wouldn't let us play together. And then we would get blamed as the poor kids for the crimes committed by the rich kids because they couldn't possibly. I learned very young that there was no such thing as a meritocracy because I knew that those kids, on account of the lottery of their birth and the fact their parents could afford to send them to that school, would be funnelled, regardless of ability, into high-paying, high-powered jobs, and that most of us wouldn't. And that's when I learned what injustice is. That's when I learned that status and wealth will let you get away with anything, including literal crimes. And just look at Boris Johnson. He knew he'd be above the law. He knew that he could destroy our democratic processes and get away with it. And not just get away with it, but get a good $100,000 a year allowance for it. He's made millions since leaving the country in ruins. And now, after facing a tiny bit of accountability for the fact that he has incessantly lied, he's losing his fucking shit and gaslighting the entire country, going, oh, you can't know what's in my head. There should not be a COVID inquiry. There should be a criminal investigation into billions of fraud, into hundreds of thousands of people dead, into their negligence, into their incompetence. Our taxpayers' money has been lost and they are making us pay it back. And this is the difference between the rich and poor. And why do I make this content? Because I know what it's like to watch your parents pay for groceries in coins. I know what it's like to have holes in your shoes. I know what it's like to be hungry. I know what it's like to have free school dinners. I know what it's like to feel humiliated by circumstances that are out of your control. I know what it's like to live the majority of my life under a Tory government. And I know how much better our lives got under a Labour government. And that's why I want to say to people, we need change at the next general election. And this isn't a case of like, oh, I preferred this leader, I preferred this past leader, I want revenge for what I perceive was mistreatment of that particular leader that I've chosen for whatever reason to idolise. Do not make political figures your idols. That makes them untouchable, and no person is beyond reproach. No person is beyond criticism. And at the moment, we are in a Mayday situation. Now, if you've got a house on fire full of kids, you don't start arguing over who's in control of the hose. You put that fire out, and that is the situation that we are in. If we have another 5 years of a Conservative government, the country as we know it, our civil liberties as we know it, will be destroyed. They didn't just sit there and let tens of thousands of people die or create circumstances in which people were destined to die. They pickpocketed us as they did it. They robbed the corpses. And I'm not going to stop calling them out. And people don't have to like what I do or think that I'm funny or anything like that. All I give a shit about is just trying to tell people the truth, because the media class in this country is fucked. Press reform is required, and it's the lack of free press and the lack of an unbiased news source in terms of broadcasting and print media, which is how we've got here. Look at Johnson. He manipulated everything. He corrupts everything he touches. He's a reverse Midas. Everything that guy touches turns to shit. And he is one of the most prolific criminals Britain has ever known. And we can't let them get away with this. We can't let them override and destroy our democracy. We can't let them get away with lying to Parliament or intimidating the people that are supposed to be investigating them. And we cannot afford another 5 years of a Tory government. And trust me when I say this, there are despicable, monstrous things that Tory MPs have done that I can't tell you about because I would get sued. Or knowing them, fucking worse. So all I'm asking is for people to get their head in the game and prioritise and focus on the fact that as a country we deserve better, and as a country we need change. And don't worry, like along the way I'm going to continue to call them cunts because that's what they are, frankly. There's no point sitting there going, oh yeah, look, they're all like really corrupt and criminal, shit, and then not voting. Voting is the only protest that we have left. Don't let these rich, entitled criminals win. And also get involved in politics, because frankly, it's one of the most interesting, if depressing, and insane soaps you could ever watch. Nobody could write what's happening at the moment. This is why satire's on its arse. It's beyond all precedent. Get involved, talk to your mates, talk to your family, discuss what they're doing. And for the love of fuck, take your power back. Stop being a bystander. Because these people are in control of making the laws and your tax money. And we're all struggling, and they are directly responsible, nobody else. So we've come full circle. So I'll repeat what I said on the day that I was birthed directly out of my mum's vag, and that is fuck the Tories.